What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. Today we are going to be talking about the Ruinous Legends. We are getting very close to Regulation C, and I want to talk about what Pokemon you should be considering bringing next to your Ruinous Legendary Pokemon, so that way you can better understand how to team build going into Regulation C or Series 3, whatever you want to call it. Nobody really wants to decide, and it's very difficult for us that have been playing this whole time to switch over to Regulation versus Series. But if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed for more videos like this in the future. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with Chi-Yu, and before we get into it, I want to know what your favorite Ruinous Legend is and which one you plan to use in Regulation C. But when you think of Chi-Yu, obviously Beads of Ruin is lowering the special defense opposing Pokemon. You're going for the very powerful special attackers. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's going to be. So obviously, I don't think I really have to explain why you'd put a Flutter Mane next to this. Like, mainly you're going to put like a Choice Specs Flutter next to this. You could even put Focus Sash or whatever next to it. But Booster Energy could also be very good if you consider the fact that you know, Chien-Pao speed ties you, and that's really unfortunate, so you really don't want to deal with that. So I think Flutter, obviously there's a couple different variations of Flutter, but Flutter, if you think back to Series 0 before we got the official rule set, Flutter and Chi-Yu was very, very dominant, and it still is a very solid combination. So definitely something that you're going to see pop up a ton. Iron Bundle is one that it just makes perfect sense. Like, this is a really common core anyways, like Chi-Yu, Flutter Mane, Iron Bundle. It's just really, really strong and can do a lot of damage very quickly. So I definitely think Bundle and Chi-Yu just makes sense. You know, you throw your Icy Winds out, and I think personally, I think Focus Sash Bundle is something that's going to pop up a whole lot more, simply because of the fact that, you know, the Ruinous Legends do exist now, and most of them can do like pretty significant damage to a bundle. So being able to hold on with that 1 HP for a little bit longer is going to be super beneficial for Bundle. So I definitely think we see maybe a switch where like Flutter Mane starts running Booster Energy more, and then Iron Bundle starts running Sash a bit more. Much like to how it was when we started Series 2. Maushold is one that you definitely have to consider, simply because of the fact that, you know, you can throw this out and just follow me and allow Friend Guard to keep Chi-Yu in the fight longer, and just follow me, Helping Hand, do like the support set that can like really benefit Chi-Yu by like just boosting its attack, and just kind of play it much like you would Maushold in Goldango, where you're just like using Maushold to stop the opposing Pokemon from doing damage to your main sweeper, and just allowing this Pokemon to kind of go in with like heat waves and stuff and just do tons of damage very quickly. So I think Maushold is one that's super slept on in terms of teammates for a lot of the Ruinous Legend Pokemon. I think it's just a really good pick all around going into Regulation C. Indeedee is very good as well for a very similar reason. You can sit here and go with Follow Me's and just be able to, you know, take hits for Chi-Yu and just be able to mitigate whatever's happening, especially if there's like a Palafin or something. Being able to stop Jet Punches is very nice. Things of that nature is what's going to make this a really good partner with like Psychic Surge or stopping priority from hitting Chi-Yu. So like Dragonites with extreme speed, Jet Punch from Palafin, things like that are going to be very nice to mitigate for Chi-Yu and allow Chi-Yu, because I mean, if it's very similar in defensive stats to what you see on Flutter Mane, where it's like really high special defense, really high special attack, decent speed, and then like the rest are kind of garbage, where Flutter's almost the exact same. So it's definitely something that you have to be aware of and have to be slightly worried about. So having Follow Me Pokemon next to it is actually really, really solid. Next up, we can talk about Chien-Pao, and Chien-Pao is just anything that has physical attack is going to be a menace next to this thing. There's a handful, and I'm going to add a couple more as we talk, but like Dragonite's a very obvious one with like extreme speed access, just being a very strong attacker in general. Dragonite's very, very solid with this Pokemon. And then Palafin for the same reason, you know, Jet Punch stuff, can do really, really big damage. It just boosting Palafin's damage in general is scary. So same goes for Dragonite, that these two Pokemon just make perfect sense next to Chien-Pao. It's something you're going to see a ton. One Pokemon that I think will actually increase in use in Regulation C is going to be Scizor. I think Scizor is actually really good into a lot of these new Pokemon, and it plays very well into things like Flutter Mane that you're still going to see popping up as well. Mainly because of Bullet Punch. Bullet Punch is super good, but it does also have close combat access and U-turn access, and U-turn plays well into all of the Ruinous Legends, minus like Chi-Yu, because you're going to do neutral damage there. But this is definitely a really powerful set for Scizor. It just has a lot of coverage options, especially when you add Technician to it. A lot of coverage options that allow it to play into the Ruinous Legends very effectively. Like Wo-Chien, if you U-turn into a Wo-Chien, you do so much damage to that thing, right? So I think Scizor is a Pokemon that will slowly see creep up in usage just because it plays so incredibly well in Regulation C. Arcanine is one that just makes sense, you know. The thing you have to remember about the Beads of Ruin, the Sword of Ruin, everything, is that these Pokemon still are lowering the partner Pokemon's stats, right? So this is going to lower the defense on all of your partner Pokemon as well. So you need to be aware of that fact, and having something, especially if you're lowering the defense, throwing Arcanine out and lowering the opposing Pokemon's attack is very beneficial for your Pokemon that are currently on the field. And having the ability to Intimidate Cycle is going to be super, super nice for Pokemon on a Chien-Pao team. So it's just something to consider there for sure. Corviknight's one because I think it's really smart if you consider the fact that, you know, Corviknight just likes to sit there and bulk up, maybe set a Tailwind, and then just start doing Brave Bird and Roost. And being able to do even more damage with your bulk up and Brave Bird through the use of Chien-Pao makes a lot of sense, and it plays pretty well into a lot of Pokemon right now. It'll play really well into Wo-Chien. It'll play well into Ting-Lu because Ting-Lu can't hit you with like Fissures and Stomping Tantrum, so you don't have to worry about that Pokemon as much. So I definitely think that Corviknight is a really solid option for a Chien-Pao partner, especially if you're looking for like a bulkier Tailwind setter. This makes a lot of sense. Speaking of Ting-Lu, I think Ting-Lu is really good next to a Chien-Pao because this thing is just kind of a wall, especially if you're running the AV set. It's just really, really strong. It's really hard to get this Pokemon off the field, and being able to just lower defensive stats, you don't even really have to run Fissure. You could just do like a Body Press, Stomping Tantrum, Throat Chop, and Heavy Slam set, and it's just incredible how much damage you could do. Do this and then Adamant. Just kind of wild how much damage you can actually do to the opposing Pokemon with this right here. So it makes a lot of sense to really want to add Ting-Lu to the team with a Chien-Pao. Another one is Iron Hands. Iron Hands is still going to be incredibly good. Again, if you're running like the Assault Vest set, being able to go in there with Iron Hands and just do really big damage next to a Chien-Pao is kind of nuts. It's going to do just a ton of damage, even more than it already does, and being able to just get in there and do big hits with your Drain Punch and things of that nature. Really solid partner Pokemon on a Chien-Pao team. It's probably something that you'll see pop up here and there. You're definitely going to see these two the most. They're the most common, they're most prevalent, so you're definitely going to see those two pop up quite a bit. But I definitely think that Iron Hands is a solid bring as well, and the rest of the Pokemon that I mentioned here are all very solid brings on a Chien-Pao team. Moving right along, we have Wo-Chien, and like mainly what you're seeing on Wo-Chien is stuff like this, where you're just kind of making the opposing Pokemon very weak. And then you're setting up your Leech Seeds and just kind of sitting on the field and not letting the opposing Pokemon like do any damage to you. So really you're appreciating like stall Pokemon in the grand scheme of things, right? Stall Pokemon are really, really nice. Glamora is something that you're going to see a lot with like Mortal Spin. Because you can get out there, you can poison the opposing Pokemon, you can do a lot of work in that regard. Weaken them, and then have Wo-Chien finish up the game with like Leech Seeds and stuff like that, and just kind of like outlast the opposing Pokemon. These two are something that you're going to just see a ton of, and it's going to be disgusting how much you're going to see this. Gothitelle is another good one because you're going to see Wo-Chien on a lot of Perish Trap teams. And Gothitelle plays just very well with a Wo-Chien. You're able to keep stuff in on your Leech Seeds so they can't rotate out and just kind of like fake out and protect and do that kind of stuff. As well as if you do get Parasong up, rotating Gothitelle and just keep Pokemon in. It's just going to be a very solid combination. Something that you're going to see quite a bit. Fluttermane makes a lot of sense if you think about the fact that Fluttermane has horrible defensive stats like we talked about earlier when we were referencing Chi-Yu. Horrible defensive stats, so you are able to kind of take an extra hit potentially with a Wo-Chien on the field because Fluttermane is getting that boost because the opposing Pokemon's attack stat is lower. So it's definitely something that you have to consider, just having a Fluttermane out there. It does a lot of work, especially because you are, like I said, going to see Parasong, and this does get Parasong. So I think that these two make a lot of sense together from that regard, but also from a defensive standpoint in terms of Fluttermane. Arcanine is one that you're going to see a lot because having an Intimidate Setter on Parasong or on just stall teams in general is very good. So being able to rotate in an Arcanine and intimidate the opposing Pokemon and just allow like Glamora and Wo-Chien poisons and Leech Seeds to just do incredible work allows you to really have a lot of bonuses with Wo-Chien, but also just being able to put Wo-Chien out there, lower the attack, and rotate in an Intimidate Setter and just have like negligible attack on the opposing Pokemon is really, really beneficial. So I definitely think that Arcanine is a great teammate Another one that you're probably thinking of if you're thinking of stall teams is Garganacl, and Garganacl is a good partner for this particular Pokemon. It makes a lot of sense. I definitely think you'll see this. I think it'll be less common than something like Glamora, but I definitely think Garganacl will see some play, especially the Ghost Terra typing is coming back into play a lot. I definitely think that Ghost Garganacl next to a Wo-Chien is going to be very, very prevalent, or on the same team as a Wo-Chien is going to be very prevalent. Finally, we have Ting-Lu, and I think that this Pokemon is super, super good. I think it's my favorite of the Ruinous Legends. I enjoy it immensely, but it is a bit trickier just because of what it does. It doesn't inherently boost anything. It just kind of makes the it gives everything else an assault vest, essentially. So you just have to kind of be a little careful with the teammates that you're adding and how you're using Ting-Lu. I think most people are rolling with the AV set. Something that you're seeing a lot of because, you know, you can just sit there and spam like fissures and stuff like that. It's very good. I'm not going to deny that it's very good. You do this. So the first partner Pokemon that I want to talk about here is Maushold, and I'm going to put the moveset here so I can kind of talk about it a little bit better. All right, so Maushold makes a lot of sense on this particular team with the Ting-Lu, because if you think about it, you know, this is already lowering the special defensive stats, right? Well, the special attacking stats, excuse me. So like if you lead into a Fluttermane and a Ting-Lu, a Fluttermane and a Chi-Yu, gosh, I'm getting these all mixed up. But if you lead into a Fluttermane and a Chi-Yu with your Ting-Lu, and then you have a Maushold next to it, what does that even do, right? They're both already have their stats back to normal. You could Poison Terra and take minimal damage from both of those Pokemon, and you're going to take even less damage because of Friend Guard, which makes a lot of sense in putting these two Pokemon together. You can Heavy Slam the Fluttermane, Stomping Tantrum, the Chi-Yu. There's a bunch of options here for this Pokemon to just kind of go in and eat. And I think that these two together is a really, really solid combination. Maushold, I just think, goes up dramatically in usage in Regulation C because it pairs so well and mitigates a lot of the effects that you're getting from the opposing Pokemon. So I definitely think that Maushold is a really, really solid bring. Another thing with Maushold and Ting-Lu is like Maushold, typically you're running like a max HP, max defense stat. And then you like, you know, your special defense is kind of lacking, but if you put it next to Ting-Lu and everything's back to normal, like this has a pretty decent defensive stat. And I think that's something you definitely have to consider. Gothitelle is going to be a really good teammate because, again, Ting-Lu goes on a lot of like those Wo-Chien stall teams because it's just a wall and it's really hard to break through. So you're able to just kind of sit in front of stuff. Gothitelle is really, really good next to that for like the normal like fake out, you know, protect psychic sets. But like Trick Room is super great for this Pokemon. Trick Room's super great for Ting-Lu, but then also the fact that this gets Heal Pulse is really, really nice because, like I said, this is a wall. It's impossible to break through this Pokemon. So if you're able to just sit there with Gothitelle and Heal Pulse it up, similar to like how you would with like a Moongus Pollen Puff or Wo-Chien Pollen Puff, same deal. Ting-Lu just benefits from that dramatically, and it's a very difficult Pokemon to remove. So it's definitely worth having, you know, a Gothitelle with Trick Room and Heal Pulse. I think that's a really solid bring. Arcanine's really nice. You're already lowering the special attack, but you throw it out and lower the attack stat. So you're doing both sides of the attack spectrum, mitigating what the Pokemon can do on the opposite side of the field. And I think that's really solid for Ting-Lu to just kind of take more hits and stay on the field as long as possible. I think it's a really solid combination. Annihilape is one of those Pokemon that really benefits from Ting-Lu because you want to be on the field as long as possible. You want to be doing like big bulk up stuff, just get as bulky as possible, and then just be able to go in with Drain Punches and Rage Fists and do a lot of work. And if you consider like Maushold is a good partner for this, Annihilape is also a good partner for this, right? So that makes a lot of sense in terms of like a team. Ting-Lu, Maushold, and Annihilape is something that I could definitely see happening quite a bit. But allowing Annihilape to just bulk up in front of stuff and take minimal special attack damage is really, really beneficial for Annihilape, and it allows it to start just kind of going in on stuff. I think this makes a lot of sense, and makes sense for other bulk up users in the format as well. Finally, we have Indeedee. Indeedee makes sense for similar reasons to Gothitelle. Again, it's like Trick Room stuff, but also just Follow Me to allow your Ting-Lu to just do a bunch of damage is really nice as well. And also the Psychic Surge, preventing like Palafin if you don't Terra your Ting-Lu. Preventing Palafin from going in by like preventing Jet Punches altogether, and then following me into Indeedee allows your Ting-Lu to stay on the field even longer and do pretty big damage to a Palafin, potentially hit a fissure, things of that nature. So I definitely think that Indeedee makes a lot of sense in terms of a partner Pokemon for Ting-Lu, similar to Gothitelle for that reason. So those are my thoughts on the best partners as of this moment for Regulation C. I think that there are a lot of really good options to put next to these Pokemon, and something you definitely have to be aware of going into a team building process with these new Pokemon, because they change the meta so dramatically. It's very interesting. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, let me know what your favorite Ruinous Legend is. If you enjoyed the video at any point, leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I post daily competitive Pokemon content. Also, check out the Discord with people over there hanging out playing Pokemon all the time. Finally, if you want to see more from me, check out any of these VGC videos on screen. I've been recording a ton this weekend, getting prepped for the week of Fort Wayne, because I will not be here. I will be in Fort Wayne participating in the regional, and I don't know when any of these videos are actually going to go live. They're going to be up randomly based on when I recorded them. But until next time, peace.